Why is it so hard to leave a narcissist?
It's because you're not just leaving a normal relationship. You are leaving a trauma bond. On some level, you are dealing with an addiction, because in any narcissistic relationship that sustains over time, there is some level of trauma bonding involved and therefore addiction. So in order to leave the narcissist, you have to break the trauma bond and you have to deal with the addiction.
Right.
Okay. And as with any addiction, it is very difficult to break, whether it is addiction from drugs, alcohol, food, porn. Any addiction is hard to break.
Could it also be because the narcissist can be so charming and that sort of hooks you in, and yet they can be so abusive as well?
Well, what you just explained is the cycle of addiction.
Right.
Okay, that's exactly what a cycle of addiction is. It's that love bombing. On one side, there is the love bombing, and on the other side, there is the pain and the put downs and the devaluation. In every addiction cycle, there is the pain and there's the pleasure.
Right.
Okay? And same in a narcissistic relationship, there is that idealization, that love bombing that gives you such a wonderful feeling so good. It's as if being on a drug. It's such an amazing feeling that you feel throughout your body. You know, you have such a high, and then you try to recreate that high by being with the narcissist and wanting that feeling again and again and again. But the way addiction works, you have that high, usually just one, like the highest point. The way the brain works is that the highest point really occurs only one time. You never get it again the second time or third time. Just like if you take drugs or heroin, you want that same height you had the first time that you took the drug. And that's why it's being compared to heroin addiction sometimes. You know, the narcissistic abuse or the withdrawal from narcissistic relationship is being compared to the withdrawal from heroin. It's like you keep chasing the high, but you never quite get it the way it was the first time around. And in order to understand it, we have to understand how the brain works. The brain's number one function is to keep us alive, to keep us safe. Okay. And it does so by taking us away from pain and taking us towards pleasure.
Right.
Okay. These are the two mechanics that happen in the brain. Whatever we feel pleasure from, the brain wants more of. And it's got this emotional memory. It remembers it, it locks it in, and it wants it again and again and again. And whatever is pain, it makes us run away from. Okay. The problem with the narcissistic abuse or with an addiction is that the pleasure sort of hijacks the brain and becomes much stronger. And so it's like the brain always wants to chase more of that pleasure. It thinks, okay, well, this I've never felt before, so this surely must be good for survival because it feels so good. So I will do whatever I can to get this again and again and again. And it can't really recognize that it's not for good reasons, it's for addiction. The brain doesn't have the capacity to then see, well, this pain is too big. Let's not go through this process again. Let's just remove ourselves from this situation, whether it is drugs or narcissism. It doesn't have that capacity. It's like it's hijacked, and that good feels so good that we're just chasing that.
Wow. Yeah. Just keep chasing that high
Just
over
keep
and over
chasing
again.
that high, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's why it is difficult to leave a narcissistic relationship, because we have to deal with the addiction part of the relationship. In order to leave the narcissist, we have to go through the withdrawal. We have to go through the pain of not being in a relationship, and that doesn't feel good. So we just want to go for another hit. We want to stay in the relationship in order to avoid the pain.
Is it because also the narcissist makes the good times seem so good, rather than just in a normal relationship where you have a good time and the person loves you? Is everything a bit overblown with a narcissist that they make everything seem so good?
It actually is that good. It actually is. I would say that the narcissist has this capability to take everything out of proportion. And so it is better in some ways. And I think that's why a healthy person and a healthy brain knows that we need to stay away from these extreme highs. The healthy brain knows that having too much food is not good, so it stops you. Having too much love, it's a bit too overblown, so there's something a bit not quite right. And so you kind of step back, and there's some in healthy brain, there's this mechanism that it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's a bit too much. Let's slow it down a bit, right? But a traumatized brain, perhaps from childhood abuse or childhood trauma, it's very sensitive to these stimulus, because if during the childhood, the child went through extreme up and downs, things were not balanced, they were extreme highs and lows, the parents were fighting, it was terrible, there was neglect, the parents were good together, it was wonderful, and there's all these presents and the best family time ever. So there's these up and downs. So people from these kind of backgrounds are especially susceptible to be attracted to narcissism, because it recreates these highs and lows that they experienced during childhood. Yeah. And so to answer you the question, do narcissists really give you that more high, or do they just make it look like that? That's what you are asking, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that in some ways they actually do.
Right.
They put so much energy and effort into taking everything out of proportion that it actually is higher and better.
Right.
So sometimes people say that, let's say, even sex with narcissists is so much better, or falling in love with narcissists is so much better. It's because the narcissist puts everything into that moment, and it's just like it compacts all the feelings just to hook that person in. And so it seems better, okay, but it's not healthy. It's just over the top, and it's not sustainable. But regardless of that not being healthy, still for that person who's innocently in that situation, right? You feel that high and you feel so good, and you just lock it in and you want more of that.
Yeah.
But you don't know that it's not sustainable.
And it's really only a front as well, isn't it? It's just to hook you in.
It's just
not
to hook
real.
you in. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not real.
It's not real. No, it's not real.
It's only really an act.
And I think that's the key thing. It's an act. It's the narcissist's act to get you, because before they put on that charm, they first ask you all these questions. They get to know you. They interrogate you. They do their investigation of what makes you tick. What does it for you? What your interests are, what your sensations are. They're so good in sensing everything. Where you like to be touched, what you like to hear, what you like to experience. And they know then what to do. And so then they're like, yes, I know what to do. And tonight is the night. I'm going full on. It's going to be a wonderful romantic dinner. And that's when the person falls in love with me.
Wow.
And they take advantage of all these things, all this information that they've gathered, they collect it. They're like analysts, they collect, or detectives, they collect all this data on the person, and then they know they have this skill to combine everything into this like elixir, into this one night or one day type of moment that then gets that person hooked. And that's what you're chasing. You're chasing that moment, that one moment perhaps you had with the narcissist. And that's what you're chasing. That's why I like to compare it with heroin, because with heroin, you have that first hit. And the second, third, fourth hit, it can never be better than the first one. You're always chasing that first experience. And it is the same thing with narcissism. So it's a very similar experience that happens in the brain. And the person is then chasing this high.
Yeah, wow.